I told my sister she can't use my address to apply for school after she badmouthed me to every relative we have. My sister Danny is 26 and has been trying to get into a nursing program for the past 2 years. The school she wants is technically outside her district, so she needs a local address to qualify for in-district tuition. The difference is something like $9,000 a semester. She asked me last spring if she could use my apartment. I said yes. She used it for the initial application, got deferred, and was reapplying for the fall cycle. That's the context. Here's what happened in between. My mom has this group chat with her sisters, my aunts, and somehow information from that chat always makes its way to everyone. In July, I got a call from my cousin Marcus asking if I was really not going to our grandmother's 75th birthday dinner. I didn't even know there was a dinner. I asked him what he was talking about. He goes, Danny said you were making it weird and refusing to come unless grandma apologized to you about something. I had no idea what that even meant. I called my mom. She said Danny had told the family that I've been on some kind of ego trip for months, picking fights, making everything about myself. My aunt Linda apparently called my grandmother and said she hoped grandma wouldn't let my drama ruin the dinner. My grandmother is 74 years old and extremely non-confrontational. She called me the next day sounding nervous, asking if we were okay. I told her we were completely fine and I would absolutely be at the dinner, which I had not known about until 24 hours earlier. I called Danny after that. She said she didn't start anything. She just mentioned to mom that things felt tense between us. I asked her what things, what tension. She got vague, said I'd been distant and she felt like I was judging her. I told her I didn't know what she was referring to, but I did know that Marcus called me thinking I was boycotting grandma's birthday, and grandma called me sounding like she'd done something wrong. I said that came from somewhere. Danny said she was just venting and people ran with it. I let it go. Went to the dinner, everything was fine on the surface, grandma was happy, and I figured it was just family drama that would die down. It didn't die down. About 3 weeks after the dinner, my Uncle Paul, my mom's brother, texted me asking if I was doing okay. I said yeah, why? He said Danny had mentioned I was having some struggles and he just wanted to check in. I asked what kind of struggles. He said something about money and being stressed and maybe drinking more than I should. I've had maybe 10 drinks total this year. I don't have money problems. I have a completely unremarkable life that nobody should be discussing. I talked to my mom again. This time she was more honest. She said Danny had been telling people I was jealous of her going back to school, that it was bringing up stuff about how I never finished my degree, and that I was acting out because of it. I did leave college after 2 years. That part is technically true, but I left to take a job and I've been fine ever since. It's not a wound. It's just a thing that happened. Danny has apparently turned it into a whole psychological explanation for why I'm difficult. That was September. Danny texted me in October asking for an updated copy of my lease because the school wanted proof of residency for the new application. The deadline was October 31st. I sat with it for a few days. I kept thinking about my grandmother calling me sounding apologetic for something she hadn't done. I kept thinking about my uncle checking in about drinking that wasn't happening. I thought about Danny saying she was just venting. I texted her back on October 28th. I told her I wasn't going to be able to let her use my address for the application. She called me within about 2 minutes. She said, "Are you serious right now?" I said, "Yeah." She asked why. I told her that over the past several months, she told our family I was having some kind of breakdown, that I was jealous of her, that I had a drinking problem, and that I'd almost skipped grandma's birthday out of spite. I said I wasn't comfortable having my name and address attached to her applications when I apparently couldn't trust her to talk about me accurately to the people we're both related to. She said that was insane, that those were private conversations. I said private conversations had gotten back to Marcus and Uncle Paul and our grandmother, so they weren't that private. She said I was punishing her for venting. I said I was declining to do a favor for someone who'd spent the summer telling our family I was falling apart. She started crying. She said the deadline was in 3 days and she'd lose her spot in the application cycle. I told her I was sorry about the timing and I genuinely meant that, but I wasn't changing my mind. She said, "You're going to throw away my entire future over gossip." I said I wasn't throwing away anything. I just wasn't handing over my address. She hung up. My mom called an hour later. I let it go to voicemail. She left a message saying Danny was devastated and I needed to think about whether this was really worth it. She said family doesn't do this to each other. I texted back that I agreed, and that's kind of the whole point. She hasn't responded to that.